Today's video is going to cover the 4 things that you need to succeed as a copywriter in 2025. If you haven't got one of these 4 things, you're going to really struggle to close and retain business. And you're constantly going to find yourself in this feast and famine cycle where one month you may have an abundance of deals, the next month everything seems to disappear, and you're left wondering, why can't you control your sales process? So today's video is going to show you exactly everything you need to be able to take control of your sales process, to have deals magnetically attract to you, and basically to be able to set yourself up for success. So let's dive straight in and jump into the first section. So the first thing that you need is digital presence. Now, I don't care if this is just Instagram, if this is just Facebook, if this is just LinkedIn, but you need to be on some form of social media, and I'm going to explain why. Now, it doesn't matter how you go about landing business. If you're doing cold emails, cold DMs, cold calling, gig applications, doesn't matter what one you do. Every single person that ever goes to hire you is going to go and do their due diligence. Now, what that means is they're going to go search the internet. They're going to look on every social media platform. They're going to check for any place they can to see if you are basically walking the walk and not just talking the talk. They want to see that you are active somewhere, that you're actually posting about things in the industry, that basically you can do what you're claiming you can do. Now, they wouldn't be good at hiring if they didn't do this. So every person in charge of any hiring role is going to be doing this, and it's the absolute bare minimum. Remember, people only do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And no one can like and trust you if they don't know you in the first place. So getting some digital presence is an absolute necessity. And if you skip this, you can't really be mad when people aren't hiring you because you're not anywhere to be seen in the first place. Now, the next one is social proof, right? Because in the world of AI, in the world of basically the barrier to entry being so low to become a copywriter, there's a bunch of people claiming that they can, write copy, that they can generate leads, that they can book more calls, they can do all of these different claims. Yet it's actually quite rare to find a copywriter that can do these things. So having social proof is absolutely crucial, right? I have Google reviews, where I get people to basically leave what it was like working with me, what results they generated. Whenever a client like shouts me out on a company-wide meeting like this, I'm making sure I'm taking screenshots and adding it to my social medias and wherever I want to share it. Whenever like our teams are sharing wins, you can see this is when we had a 450k month. This was someone shouting me out for driving like high ticket applications through social media. I'm always taking note of these wins, screenshotting them and adding them to everywhere that they need to be. Now, as you can see, like 12k in a week for this client, 46k in a night for that client, that actually turned into 100k over 4 days. So you need this social proof, that credibility, to be able to build that trust factor, that know, like, and trust factor. Okay, so again, absolutely crucial. And trying to scale without social proof is going to be extremely difficult. Not impossible. Okay, there are ways that you can land clients without testimonials. We all had to do it in the first place, but this makes it a lot easier. Okay, so if you haven't got social proof, I suggest you doing some, discounted projects, some free work, some spec work, whatever you can do to just get some testimonials. Okay, get creative. Now, the next is good skills. And it's crazy that I even have to say this, right? But you need to be able to at least like match industry standards. Okay. So if you're an email marketer, you need to be getting decent open rates, click-through rates. Okay. You need to be actually hitting the standards that's required of a copywriter. If you're a social media manager, you should be driving followers, increasing reach, getting leads from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, wherever, off of those platforms and onto email lists. So you actually need to have a good offer, good skills to complete that offer, and you need to be able to have conviction around your service and your skills to be able to sell it effectively. Okay, so good skills is absolutely crucial. Too many people want to skip past this bit and think that copywriting is this one industry in the world where you don't need skills, you don't need to put in the reps, you don't need to put in the work, and you can all of a sudden land on 10k a month. It's not true. Okay, so you need good skills. All right, now the last one, this is the one that most people miss out on. It's easy to get social media, it's easy to get some semi-decent skills in one service. You can get some social proof by taking some screenshots, but no one is building the right sales assets. Okay, now this is why copywriting seems so difficult for them, because they're doing all the selling by themselves. You're constantly working on unpaid tasks, prospecting, outreaching, jumping on calls. And then even when you do jump on calls, it's like a hard push, it's a hard sell, because the prospect knows nothing about you. They don't know what you've done, they don't know what authority you've got. Therefore, they're judging you against every other copywriter, meaning you're not going to be able to charge premium prices, and the sales process is just clunky. Whereas when you've got sales assets selling for you, that those conversations, those sales calls, they just become objectionless onboarding calls. It's just, how can we work with each other? What's the terms of agreement? So these sales assets are absolutely crucial. And if you haven't got these, then this is your to-do list for after this call. Okay, now the first one is just your CV. All right, your copy CV. Who are you working with? Who have you worked with? What results did you get? How can people contact you? How can people get a link to your portfolio? Like, just make it a nice, simple, easy document. You can get as fancy as you want, get a designer, or you can go as basic as a Google Doc. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day, as long as the information that's in there is actually helping you and proving your point. So it wants to be talking about your claims, talking about your results, talking about what people thought about you, talking about the specific things you did within a company and a role to actually move the needle and drive results. Okay, the next, again, it's just part of that social proof, part of those sales assets is your portfolio. You need to be able to have examples of your work. And for me, I have it all linked within my CV. This is just a snapshot of it. I break it down into different industries, and within that, I break it down into different sections of what the actual copy is. But remember, if you're an ads guy and you're applying for ads gigs, don't just have a portfolio full of emails. And same if you're an email guy and you're applying for email gigs, and you're doing email outreach, you're doing this, that, and whatever, trying to get email gigs. Don't then have a portfolio full of social media ads and long form copy. Your portfolio needs to reflect the work you want to get. Okay, it needs to showcase what the person can expect working with you will be like. All right, now the last thing, and again, this is what no one does, it's turning their testimonials, their social proof, their results, everything they've done into case studies. Okay, now I do this with every copywriter I work with, but I also do this with my personal copywriting clients. I'll have a Miro board similar to what you're looking at on the screen, of where they were when we began, where they are now, what I did, how we got here, and everything in between. Because the more you can make it a story, the more you can attach emotion to it, the more you can basically show the different intricate parts you played in the transformation, the easier it's going to be to upsell new business, the easier it's going to be to attract new business, the easier it's going to be to have those conversations with conviction and close new business. So just leverage everything you're doing into case studies, turn it all into sales assets that's going to serve you for years down the line, because that's how you can turn one deal into this compounding passive sales you know sales asset for yourself that's going to serve you for years to come. So have that long-term mindset, put these things in place, set yourself up for success, and watch the game become magnetic. And if you want to learn exactly how I do this for my personal copywriting clients, you want to see exactly how the copywriters that I'm coaching are closing deals with ease and just upselling and retaining them with ease, then feel free to just book a call in down below. Zero pressure chat. It's just to see where your bottlenecks are, give you a roadmap and a strategy for moving forward, and just basically giving you a plan to get you where you want to get to. So if that does sound interesting to you, feel free to book a call in the description below. But if not, hit subscribe, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.